Welcome, everyone, to my free group coaching call that I do every Tuesday from 10 to, every first Tuesday of the month from 10 to 11. And I take the summers off now for the last few years. Just that's my bid towards semi-retirement. I just take 3 months off. But I'm still in private practice and I still do honesty salons, but I'm teaching my last structured workshop this coming weekend at my house. I
Mm.
have always done a lot of groups at my home, but at this stage in my life, I want to only do things that are spontaneous and in the moment, like a Q&A, so that I can just show up and see what shows up over there and we can relate in the moment. When I've done structured workshops, there's time limits and there's handouts. And I just want to let go of that and see what comes next for me. I am old and I've been writing a lot of blogs about death and dying, but I honestly don't feel anywhere near dying or death. I have a lot of juice and I'm still going to be going. And as I go toward retirement, I'm much more available to people, particularly people who've done some work with me in the past. Just like reach out to, by email or something if you have issues. I'm feeling like this is the time of life to give back, to be generous with my time and so forth. And I'm very grateful for that because I used to be in a race against time, always rushing, rushing, getting it all done. And it's a great time of life. Don't worry, I'm almost 84, but it's not bad yet, at least. So today is relationship Q&A, and I want to invite people to speak about something that is up for you in your life that you'd like my perspective on, perhaps other people's perspective. And when I do these, I find it's very healing just to be witness, to say what's there for you, uh, to get my reflection that helps you go a little more deeply into your felt experience in the present moment. That's the whole idea of getting real. And anything that shows up in your life that's uncomfortable or painful or confusing, and anything that you might want to resist, I guide people in how to go into that, go into the resistance, go into the pain, go into whatever is there. And as we like sit with and be with whatever comes up, I mean, it can be a relationship issue, a financial issue, self-doubting, inner critic issues, anything at all. It is the beginning point for inquiry. So the whole idea of getting real is learning to be with what is. And when we can't, there's usually some kind of unmet childhood need that is being called up for our attention. It doesn't mean that unmet childhood need is the cause of anything that's going on in your outside world, but if you don't feel able to cope with something, really
Uh-huh.
almost anything that comes up that you don't feel able to cope with, and you aren't like being able to be really present with it, it the painful, undesirable present situation can be a doorway to, oh, I'm supposed to feel this pain more and go into it and complete the past and give myself love or be there for myself in some way, develop some inner reparenting skills. Our parents didn't do a perfect job. And so we have a lot of reparenting to do in this life. And whatever your karma was, whatever your unmet childhood needs were, that's kind of part of your curriculum in this life. So uh, I'm here to help you come to terms with the hand you were dealt and play that hand as best you can. And the witnessing part is what I want to call in right now because
Huh?
whoever speaks and
You guys are
wants
gonna
to share a, who,
um
who should I be muting here?
here.
Maybe mute all. There we go. There. Whoever speaks, let's give them our loving attention. It's very healing to be felt and witnessed. And part of what we do here too is we call on our own inner witness so that we're not like just in the feelings. We're in the feelings, but we're also able to witness the feelings. So we'll play around with that as things come up. And I'm also available just to give advice, you know. That's not generally what I do in my work, but I adapt to whatever the need is in front of me. Did anybody come with a question? Maybe I can see a show of hands. How many people did come with something on your mind? Because otherwise I'll have to go fishing. Okay, Marie, and who else raised your hand? Paula, I think. Okay, and Ava. All right. Marie, do you want to start by you and me? Just will imagine it's just the two of us here, but there's some loving
Right.
witnesses around. Okay. And oh,
Sure.
to the witnesses too, allow yourself to feel and notice what you feel as you're listening. Notice thoughts, notice identifying with the person, noticing critical or judgmental thoughts. None of that is to be taken as real, but that's part of your personality. So the whole idea here is witnessing, giving attention, and then noticing how you witness and how you listen. Okay, here we go, Marie. Back to us.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for doing this. I really this has just been something that's been a theme and I've just been working it myself. So this is really a wonderful opportunity. When I was younger, I just had a lot of really good men friends, and I had some really satisfying romantic relationships. I was pretty clear that marriage and kids probably wasn't my path, and some of that had to do with generational trauma, early childhood stuff, but also just looking at it, what was my real path, which tends to be more spiritually oriented, or at
Mhm.
least that's the priority. I'm really a walk your talk spiritual person. It's got to be integrated. It's not about woo woo, it's about actualization. Um, and so that after a few years in a Zen monastic community, that kind of brought me full circle back into the world of relationships.
Ah,
And I was gone in the contemplative order for at a particular time, which I think sets me up for these issues, which is that various friends had married, had kids, some of them divorced. Some of the, people even, I lost a lot of men and women friends to second marriages because life would change. And also, I was gone for a number of years, right? So coming back. And now I'm running into this. It just happened. A friend of mine died suddenly, Vietnam veteran, incredible human being, died suddenly about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. He was who married with kids. I was real good friends with his first wife, very good friends, close with the family. I'm just setting this up, and in the issue, you'll see it comes pretty quick after the setup to show you where I'm coming from. He was the one that drove down to San Fran. My brother was killed in the 9/11 attacks. He was the only person that could relate at the level of what I was witnessing and dealing with in New York for the couple of months that I was there right
and
after.
this is the man who just recently died.
Just died, right? So he came down and got me at the San Francisco airport. Somebody else, because the airspace, a doctor flew me to one airport to get me to another airport so I could get there. So I didn't have a car at an airport. So he comes down, and meanwhile, we're debriefing, and he's trusting me a lot with parts of his Vietnam experience too. Um, I won't get too into that, but that wasn't totally new. But his experience was. But his second wife, and here's the issue, is She was fine in the very beginning, and when I had a memorial ceremony for my brother, she and the kids and he sat in the position of my family, and we still have,
I
good
mean,
heart.
she was fine with your friendship. Is that what
Yeah,
you
well, she was, and then she wasn't,
Yeah.
and so all of a sudden this very important deep connection for both of us on a friend basis solely. I have a very strong ethical and personal commitment to not messing with other people's relationships. I'm the safest person your husband could be with, because I just won't let anything happen. But there's also a place where there's so few people, especially for me, male friends, who go the depth, and have not just the life experience, but the willingness to, really come in on things. And that's mutual, receive, from me as well. So it just seems like I've lost a lot of my male friends in the last decade to second marriages, where, if I'm lucky, the person is open to friendships, but don't go too close too far and too often. And I'm not someone that needs to be on the phone with you with the guy every minute, but I honor that. So I guess it's how to, and I've come to understand a lot of the dynamics, why people feel the way they do, why I feel the way, blah, blah, blah. But how do we make room for intimacy that isn't just sexual, or because of sexual energy isn't so threatening or disturbing, because there's so much in our human experience that we could really help each other with and add to each other's quality of life.
Mhm.
And frankly, I'm getting a little exhausted as I get older because the crowd's thinning out due to, people are dying.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of,
let's pause now.
yeah, sorry. So
How
how
is
do
this hurting
we do
you,
this conundrum?
Marie?
Huh?
How is this? I think you laid out very clearly a kind of
Okay, good. I'm sorry if it was too much
a
talking, but
sociological or
yeah, yeah, that's I was trying to paint a
subculture
picture.
problem too.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I want to ask, how is this hurting you?
well, I'm shutting down. I mean, I really can't go back to the monastic model. I spent a lot of time on retreats in the wilderness
Okay,
before.
so let's feel into. So
So what I'm
my
feeling,
job is
I'm
to
feeling
like,
isolation.
yeah.
I'm starting to feel like I'm shutting down and I'm losing relevancy.
So
And this
let's
is
pose.
one big
Let's
area.
pause. Isolation. That's a powerful word.
Hmm.
Just notice how you feel when you say that.
Yeah,
Just sit with that. That's a hard thing to tolerate, whatever those feelings are. So,
yeah.
um, I don't offer opinions about social issues,
No, no, no. Yeah.
but I want to validate that that is a big issue for uh, a lot of people, and for you. And I wish everybody was like you and me, Marie, and the subculture that I've always grown up in doesn't have that problem, by the way.
Right.
But I get it. Are you interested in just seeing what you can learn about yourself being in this dilemma? Or were you hoping to just get ideas and opinions here because maybe some other people might have
Well,
something to say to you?
oh, sure. I'm open to all of it because I'm at a cusp point where I have to make some decisions about where I'm going with my life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, this
And
is a good time to ask this question then.
yes, I'm sorry if I'm taking up too
Well,
much.
no, I'm interrupting you
That's good
because there's
because I could talk.
um no, you know how I read that, Marie, is you really want to be understood. That's how I read your, you
Thank
know,
you. Yeah.
we'll call them explanations.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, although
Oh, no, no. Thank you.
sometimes it can be just an automatic pattern, that we all do. But in this case, I take that as a sincere wish to be understood and not misunderstood.
Thank you.
And I feel a lot of identification, with your issue
Thank
about
you.
male friends, and I've mostly been lucky in that area, but I can see how Well, my current partner's ex-wife, however,
Yeah.
does not even recognize my existence, but that doesn't hurt me because I have no relationship with her, and I've got him. That's a
Right.
whole different thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so isolation and starting to shut down.
Mm,
There's a feeling tone there that I want to invite you into. And and there's probably some resistance to just having that experience.
mhm.
See,
Yeah.
the teachings that I do go, we we naturally have resistance to having these experiences that seem to be caused by the external world and circumstances. And in this case, yeah. How can I know myself better through how I'm handling this external circumstance?
Mm,
So that's the invitation. So I'm inviting you to be curious about that feeling
mm,
of isolation and to really, like, if you breathe and open up a space, and maybe some of those of us in the audience too, if there's something that's troubling, start by just getting in touch with your physical sensations and the breath. And you certainly know how to do this, Marie, from all your training. And as you feel the feeling of isolation and all the things that go along with that, there's emotions and sensations and probably thoughts. See if that can be a tender, see if you can feel that as kind of a tender place in you. This kind of hurts, or it's
mhm,
something you don't want, you know, but it's there.
mm.
And just tell me what you notice as you make your best effort at sitting with that feeling.
It's heartache,
Right.
and there's a place that it's at right now, where, I really feel like I have to pick a path, and it feels really sad that I can't, in the acute moment, be more involved with the second family of my friend, because that's not it's not it's not possible. We'll just call it possible, and yet the pull is there, right?
Yeah.
But then in other situations, and um, it's just like I can go back and be a yogi, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But
um,
but let me, this thing about being involved with, with his family, his second family. This is a strong wish, and it's like blocked. You can't have that. Is that?
Pretty much. I've been in touch with the kids because I used to take them everywhere,
Yeah.
but I was their second mother in between mothers.
Wow. Yeah. So stay with that.
But
What's
my
it
point
like
is
to
that
be
it's
like not available? They're not available to you anymore.
right, because they're hovering around the widow, the new widow, which again, we have a good relationship, but I'm not her number one circle.
Sure. Well, I'm guessing that there's something for you to learn, and we may or may not want to go there
Oh, I'm glad to go there. I just have to
about
make a choice about where I'm going in my
being
life.
shut out, and like that whole complex of feelings.
Yeah, the shut, I guess it's because again, too much good training. I can hold the space for just about anything for anybody.
No.
And what I'm finding is in doing that, like, so you invited me into feelings. Yeah, on the very individual level, there's heartache, there's frustration,
Mhm.
there's kind of a great grief, exasperation that we humans put up all these conditions around our relatedness, and some of it is
Yeah.
healthy boundaries, blah, blah. And some of it is just based on fear and, not knowing ourselves. And
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
want, I
can't
want to give you a chance to speak
can't
that in
change
a
that.
in
Yeah.
just what you're speaking now in a kind of structured way where you do like a soliloquy. I want you to be intentional about why does the culture have to be this way? Why do we have to be so possessive? Whatever you're like, a little bit of a rant. So I'm inviting you to
To
consciously do,
rant. Oh, God.
what you kind of do anyway with a reasonable tone of voice. But I want you to like own your rant. See, I mean, see if this is an
No, well, see, I
invitation.
grew up in Brooklyn, so you guys better plug your ears if you have a problem, because when I
No,
revisit
go, yeah, go,
Brooklyn,
take it away.
fucking A, man.
That's it.
I am so fed up with the human race, and I'm fed up with my own humanity because for some reason it does not allow me to bring the love I have for people into the world in a way that they can receive.
Great,
Period.
great, great. And every time I've listened to you, I find you very clear and just my impulse is to just want you to get more into what you're feeling,
Yeah.
and I think that was great. Hey, so
Right.
maybe that's what you're really needing to feel is just the power of
Mm,
of your actual resistance
hmm
to some of these unfair, whatever you, unjust, stupid, uneducated ways of being, fearful ways of being, like people being afraid of you with their husband, that type of fear I'm talking about.
Or just of love, of each other. And I understand,
So talk,
but if
talk
we
about
can't
how you'd
see
like love to be. What's your ideal world about love between friends?
people, it's harmony. There's a way to be harmonious with each other that isn't idealistic. It's got an actuality to it, but it takes work, and most of us don't have the time to put in the work because there's so many demands from the greater society that is not attuned to love at all. So, or to a great, the high degree. So that's where the frustration comes in. I can go full circle into a compassionate and mindful situational awareness
Hmm.
of conditions in the world. And, having sat with people from all over the world after 9/11, talking about the
Yeah.
state of the world, victims of war and terror, blah, blah. We're all facing that same thing. You get to an existential moment of seeing what conditions are, and then you look around you and you see how inadequate, I'll speak for me, I can feel in the face of all this.
So
And
how I'm going to keep interrupting you just because we
yeah,
have an
please,
audience and
got other people.
I want to kind of
Yeah,
make
yeah, 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 yeah,
because I think
yeah.
the audience doesn't have attention for too
No,
much.
I know I didn't
Uh,
expect to talk this much, so
but you say you are facing some kind of a
yeah, I got to
choice
make some
point.
choices.
And so that's another point of feeling and inquiry. So, you've
Yeah.
got the um, kind of isolation feeling, the being cut out from people, circumstance, and you got feelings about that, and the insufficiency of the culture and the way it does love.
Well,
And
and that I have to moderate. I always have to, as a friend used to call it, manage the listening. It's like
well,
to a
well,
great degree.
with yes, there's times for this and there's times for that, but I want to also just you'll make better decisions. So this is like advice now. You'll make better decisions
Good.
about where you go with your choice point if you really explored where it hurts,
Okay.
really where it hurts,
Hmm.
and what you're angry at, because that's
Hmm.
also there's hurt underneath there, and what that feels like,
Hmm.
and like inquiring. So I'm not going to try to take you into an
Yeah, sure.
inquiry today, but you know, uh, um, I'm open to that. But I think now we've
No,
kind
not,
of
oh, yeah.
come to a place where maybe we can begin to have closure here. As you feel these feelings, different feelings will come up, different insights, different thoughts. And just by being curious about what's showing up, oh my God, feeling left out, feeling shut out of something.
Mm.
Now that has a theme to it. There's been something, there's something here that feels familiar. That
Mm.
might not be the theme, but you'll find some kind of a almost like a story of my life kind of
Huh. Okay.
theme in there.
Okay.
And now I'm doing a little teaching because for other people too. If you nature gives us what we need to heal all this stuff. And when I say heal, learn to live well with certain pains that cannot be changed.
Mm. Hmm.
No, but living well with that means it does not dominate your view of yourself or of
Mm.
life.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, how do I live well with the dilemma of the way the culture treats unattached women who who just want to be a good friend,
Hmm.
and include the wife too, for example. I get that you're not trying to be possessive about anything.
Anybody, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But just the really fully owning what is the current situation
Hmm.
rather than going quite so far into the what should be, even though I
Hmm.
totally agree with you, but that often is a control device that our personalities use. We focus so much on what should be, which could be right in some other
Hmm.
universe. But if I'm trying to make a personal decision, I've really got to mine the pain and the different
Hmm.
feelings that are
Hmm.
buried in my subconscious.
Gotcha.
So I hope you take that journey. I know
I will.
I
Thank
know you're
you.
very capable of finding that witness place. So,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
there's
No,
a
you pointed me in a good direction there. So
yeah,
thank you. And thank you all for your patience. I appreciate you guys.
yeah.
Thank
Does anybody want to say anything in response before we go on to the next person, either Paula or Ava? Uh, yeah, you, Angela, go ahead.
Thank you both so much. I just want to say I feel really tender. Maria, I have some similar issues around isolation and just, a lot of childhood trauma, relationally. And it's been a lifelong issue for me to find, like the focus can be outside, like I want certain closeness in my relationships, but I've had to just keep coming back inside and inside to really unbearable pain. And I guess I'm wanting to say like you're not alone. And I had a story that you were feeling some shame, like at the end when you were saying like, thanks for hope it was okay listening. And I just wanted to say like I didn't feel any of that. I just was feeling a lot of appreciation for you and your boldness, your strength, clarity, your courage to express yourself. And Susan, I learned so much from you and the way you held the space and just really grateful. Feel really tender. It's like very loving. Thank you.
Uh, my self-talk is that's just what this group needed right now, Angela. Thank you. Maybe maybe we'll move to the next question. Yeah, that you can. Don's offering some hearts, so please receive those, Marie, too. All right. Um, either Paula or Ava, are you willing to speak? Paula, how about you? You look like you're moving, but you need to unmute yourself.
There. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I could certainly relate to some of that. Definitely the isolation part of it. I'll try to get right into it. I was married and with this man for almost 35 years, and now we've been divorced for 15. he got remarried very quickly after, and seemed to have no trouble finding somebody that was good for him. And and I did a lot of exploration because I hadn't ever really dated per se. I'd slept with people and a lot of experimentation. I wanted to look at myself a lot. I went to workshops, got involved with High, with this authentic relating in Oregon. Um, and Tantra here, and just things that would feed me
Mhm.
and have all been really great. I've been taking my good care of myself in that way. But the part that I don't know how to put the question exactly, but the part that feels unfulfilled is, and I feel really close to tears talking about this,
Mhm.
is the part that feels like I will, I've never really had a partner, a loving partner. Even in my marriage, I felt very alone a lot. And I didn't have the skills then to know how to talk about the things that you talk about in truth and
Yeah.
dating and getting real. And I've been working so hard on all of that for so long.
Mhm.
And I would really like to find someone who wants to engage in that with me. And I feel like I'm doing everything I know how to do. I go to meetup, excuse me, I go
Yeah.
to meetups, I go to Tantra, I go to
Yeah.
places where I think I'll meet people
Mhm.
who are like-minded. But I feel this is how I feel. I have this voice that says like that my picker is broken or something,
Uh-huh.
that it's my fault, that there's something that I'm doing that keeps people away, or keeps me from being open to that in some way, and I just can't seem to see it.
Let me pause you. Let's start to have a conversation if you want to here.
Yeah.
So one of the things, this is a very painful situation, and I think you're doing all the right things, and I'm just rooting for you. Like, man, you're really proactive about this, and you're admitting your need and so forth. Here's a danger when we're for humans when we're so consistently frustrated about something that we really want and need. We're basically not in control of having that thing. We aren't, but we make up stuff to help us feel a little more in control, which is there's something wrong with my picker, there's something wrong with me, I'm doing it. It's very likely that that's not the main truth. I mean, those are just theories and ideas, and
Yeah.
they have their place. Um, you're feeling this over and over and over, and I love that you have such access to your feelings, Paula. And I want us to first start and just be with that. It's painful, but you're in my world, you're alive. And I mean, alive in a way that affects me, for one, and I imagine the others in the room too. I mean, my heart is broken open listening to what you're saying. That in no way relates to how to get what you want. This is a big issue. Why can't I have this thing that uh I'm pretty sure I could rise to the occasion. I maybe have
Yeah.
some normal self-doubts about that. So let's talk about that. But speak anything you wanted to say there.
Well, I think there there is a part of me that is really scared of it. I'm scared of losing my independence, scared of having to deal with more than I want to deal with. I've liked having my own space. I bought my husband out and I live in a
Mhm.
small but very beautifully furnished little house.
Mhm.
Um, I'm I'm not rich, but I'm getting by, and life is good in so many ways. I have really close women friends, and I do a lot of activities, a lot of fun stuff. People like me, for the
Oh,
most part.
I'm gonna interrupt here for a minute. So it's good to explore this ambivalence,
Oh,
and
yeah,
really own the stuff you're telling us right now, that you're afraid of giving up a lot of that nice stuff. So now there's a belief for you. I just want to, there's a belief that we take to be real. If I'm in and this, I don't think this is the main issue for you at all, but I don't want to make this point for everybody and you, which you have this idea that you're going to have to lose independence if you couple. There's a lot of different ways to be a couple,
exactly.
especially at this
At
age.
this age.
You've been
Right.
there, done that for 35 years. The other
Yeah.
thing.
And I totally get that. And I
Yeah,
just would like to find someone who wants to co-create that with me.
sure.
And every time I think I'm getting close, it turns out that there's something really not right about the guy that I'm trying to do this with. And there's not a lot to I don't have a lot to choose from.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a common problem, and you've read Truth in Dating, and the idea in Truth in Dating is use everything that is going on between you and somebody that you're not committed to, you know, um, for your own learning and development and practice. So
Right.
you are meeting people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even if there's just a flirtation or something. What if you made you being authentic more important than the outcome?
I've really actually been trying to do that.
Great.
I mean, I have been doing that. I met this guy at an authentic relating event, and I thought I'm going to reach out and just ask if he wants to get together, and because we connected at the event, and I emailed him, and he emailed a nice note back saying, "Thank you. What a lovely, brave invitation, and I'm already in a relationship."
Mhm.
And so I felt proud of myself for doing that, for reaching out, but there aren't a lot of opportunities to do that.
Right.
Um, uh, Another guy that I met at Tantra reached out to me and asked if I wanted to practice. And I thought, okay, here's a perfect opportunity. And after just a couple of times, he seems totally unavailable. I
Mhm.
mean, he
So,
kind of,
so did you tell him that? Did you say that I'm put off by something you did or said that has me thinking you're totally unavailable?
oh, he kind of told me he was not that. I mean,
Oh, okay.
he was pretty upfront about it. He said I don't get attached, and I thought, well, that's okay. I can practice these skills with him. But he hasn't even been available to do that very much. We've only gone out a couple of times, and it
So
kind of turns, yeah.
every communication is an opportunity to show up for yourself. Even him saying, I can't see you. You're so focused on the outcome here, Paula. This is what I want versus this is what I'm feeling in this moment as I hear you. So I want to remind you of that truth skill.
Okay.
Hearing you say that, I feel. Hearing you say that, here's what's coming up for me in my mind. No, I mean, these truth skills really do help you make better actual contact in the moment. And that isn't something very many people know how to do. And those of us who do know how to do that get really impatient with the other 95%, you know what I mean? But try being that authentic and that in the moment as
Well, I
as a
kind of have.
learning experience and as you can be a teacher for other people in this as a kind of a model.
That's okay with me. And I have been with this guy. But I mean, he reached out to me and then all of a sudden he's just gone. He's just
Yeah.
not very
Yeah.
available.
So that's,
And
and that might be then, that when you have to go, well, next. And
yeah,
and there is no next for a while. And then there will be a next because you're so active and out there.
okay, well, that's good to hear.
Don't give
That
up.
means
You, you, but it's really hard not to give up, or it's really hard not to give off fear vibes, those little subtle control patterns that we have. So the big practice that I would say to you and anyone who is wanting to learn to show up more authentically, and that means with your actual feelings in the moment. Um, After the fact, you won't, you'll have an interaction. And then after the fact, that night, you go home and you go, okay, what did I not say? What did I feel that was just too much to share, or I just wasn't aware of it at the time? And that's mostly what the truth is for people. You do a like Monday morning quarterback, you kind of look at how was that? Or what would my different interactions this in this day? And when was I the way I feel most myself? And when was I strategizing to manage the outcome a little bit? And as you get onto yourself about all the different, I call them control patterns, all the different habits you have, such as explaining yourself or such as saying your wants. You're good at, I think, saying your wants, but saying your wants without a context for it. Sometimes there needs to be I've I've been really enjoying these conversations, and now what's coming up for me is I think I'd like this. How would you feel about that? You know,
yeah.
rather than just the simple, how about a date, or how about hopping in the sack? You know what I mean? There's, we do that kind of thing naturally when we're more relaxed and present and in the moment. But the only way you learn how to be that way is by realizing, oh, I wasn't. And if I had it to do over, what would be a deeper version of me, or a more aware version of me? Because my big caveat is you can only be as honest as you are self-aware. So we think we're being honest, but we're being the part of honesty that's already within our comfort zone or within our awareness zone. There's way more unconscious to each of us than conscious.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. And if we could admit that and get curious about all these parts of ourselves that are hiding in the shadows or that we're not aware of until later. And then we go, oh, you idiot. When I say you idiot, I'm kidding. You don't really want to do
Yeah.
that to yourself if you mean it. So what I don't even know, how to really help you, Paula, because it's such a common experience. So I bet you, I bet you a lot of people here, and maybe let me get a show of hands. How many people either are now or ever have been in Paula's shoes? And, I definitely can raise my hand on that. After my marriage, I was single for way longer than I thought I would be after my divorce at age 50. Yeah. And those Zoom hands don't show up on the recording. It's okay to make them. Okay, you got some people here who know some of this territory, you know, and you probably do have to cry the same tears, many times. That's what's showing up.
Yeah.
And find a way to, I teach this thing called compassionate self-inquiry, and there's, different YouTube videos that you can find, but it's just basically feeling what I feel and opening up that space of the loving, compassionate witness. And you're developing a kind of relationship with yourself that's loving and accepting. And that's something you can take to the bank when you go out and meet men. Really, that comfort with all the parts of me. And that's a journey. You don't just snap a finger, oh shit, go ahead and be comfortable. But that evolving comfort with all the parts of me, and especially the need to feel pain and cry and release that and get attention for that. I mean, it's not all about self-compassion. If you can speak your here and now needs to somebody who's really available, it's called co-regulation and like a hug, and you know all about that from high, for example, in authentic relating. So you're in a good subculture there. Like I'm going, fuck, that's the right place to be. So
Yeah, it just seems like
got that
there
one
are
right.
the pool of available men is not big enough for me to feel like I get to experiment very much. And
Mhm.
I'm just frustrated by it, and I don't want to be blaming myself for it, or um but I resonate with what you're saying about there being a whole level of unconscious behavior that I guess I have self-doubt about, that I'm doing something or being some way that um, isn't attracting people, isn't
Well,
attracting the
okay,
right
let's face
people.
it. All of us have ways that are not attracting to other people. But it's within, it's within you're probably within a tolerable range, um, because like we said, whether people know it or not, they're all pretty automatic. This is my
Yeah.
position. I mean, we have so many conditioned patterns that takes a lifetime to know yourself, and then another lifetime to love all that. Not really. Not really. It just takes work and intention. And you're already doing the work. You are.
Yeah, I have been for a long time.
Yeah.
I just get tired
Read,
sometimes.
read, read Truth and Dating again.
That's funny you should say that because I have been.
That warms my heart. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it for you because maybe we can get to Ava, but I want also to leave space for at least one comment from someone who feels resonant with what Paula has said.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for speaking up. Anybody
Mm,
want to share anything?
Well,
Carol's going to share something.
this isn't exactly a question directed to Paula. It's more directed to you, Susan, if that's
Mhm.
okay.
Sure.
Um, you said something about shifting the focus from being focused on the outcome to this is what I want. And could you just say a little bit more about that?
I didn't say from the outcome to this is what I want, because to me, if I know what you mean by this is what I want, um, they're both the same. If you're focused on what you want, see, I don't think I understand your question, frankly,
Oh,
because you said
um,
shifting from focus on the outcome to this is what I want. That doesn't, um,
I
that's
must
not
have
coming through.
maybe I misunderstood you. I thought you were encouraging her to have a like a flip of something. I don't know if anybody else heard that or if I might have just misheard it wrong.
Here's what I did want to get across. I
Yeah.
think it might answer your question. When you're focused on the outcome as the measure of your value,
Mm.
you are you're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot of the time. And what if you put your attention and your value on, am I being authentic in this moment myself? Because when we're focused on the outcome, we're tighter, we're more, when we have to have it, I really got to have this. That's another word is attached to the outcome would have been a better word. It's not that sometimes it isn't useful to really go for, I mean, we should always go for what you want. So, but not being attached to the outcome means that your whole self-esteem is wrapped up in whether I get what I want or not. And that's going to keep you operating at a superficial level. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
If people don't understand some of this and you have questions afterwards, send me an email. Um, I'm not sure we're gonna have much time for you, Ava. What do you think? But I'd like to. I'd like to dive into it, but we will have to keep it to, 7 minutes.
Yeah. Um, I, yeah, we can just play it by ear, Susan.
Good, let's go for it.
I have I have a friend who I celebrated. We did a co-birthday party, maybe 2 months ago, and during the planning phase, I felt annoyance and frustration at her, and I had a call with her that where I explained, I feel like I'm doing all the work planning and um like I needed more input and help from her. And I didn't really receive a lot of what I was hoping to receive. And
Mhm.
I think she at the end of our call, instead of like yeah, she said something that was kind of hurtful. She said that, I hope basically was like, you shouldn't feel that way. You're too sensitive. I don't think I should be responsible for your feelings, and you should go talk to a therapist. And
Okay, we can get
um,
into this now. Let's just go for it. At least at the level that I think can work in 4 minutes. So
mhm,
when you want to clear the air with somebody, there are certain skills for clearing the air uh, that look like this. You first set the context.
mhm,
There's something I want to talk with about you that is a little difficult. It's about a difficulty I'm having with our working relationship here. But I think if I can get it out and have you hear me, I could get past it because I really want us to have a good cooperative working relationship. Are you open? Are you available? So there's a script for clearing the air so that
mhm,
it helps the other person know something's coming that might be hard to field, that sets a positive relation, a kind of pro-relationship intent. Because clearing the air is a very important relationship skill, and that's what I'm calling what you were trying to do. I
mhm,
want to kind of tell her how her behavior is impacting me.
Mhm.
We need to be able to do that in our working relationships and in our intimate relationships. You don't need to be
mhm,
doing that with everybody all over the place. But it's great that you took that risk, Ava. And maybe you did do some of the things that I'm suggesting here.
mhm.
But if you had it to do over, would there be any of this that you can imagine doing just as the invitation? I understand that her response to you was hurtful and but perhaps part of it. I mean, she got triggered. Okay, then we also want to
Yeah.
understand that too. All right, so I'll just throw in a bunch of important pieces here, right at the end. So you know about triggers, and I
Mhm,
think we all need to remember how frequently the other person is triggered when there's any kind of a touchy conversation. It sounds like, I mean, they sound like normal, you're responsible, your own feelings, I'm not responsible. They're not like, uh, flying off the handle, but they're triggered. And when somebody else is triggered, you need to do whatever you can to calm your own nervous system. And if you can't, because there's really no sense in carrying on much of a conversation when somebody's triggered, because a lot of times then, no matter how calm and spacious you are, they're they don't know they're triggered. They're just acting from an old wound. So
Mhm.
like comfort yourself, Ava, in going like, well, she's triggered, and she's
Yeah,
attacking
I did
me.
come
Do not.
I did comfort myself,
Yeah.
and I did feel like a ton of like, just tingliness in my spine as I had this conversation with her. Um, we ended up having the party. I gave her a gift, and I think um I wonder if it's worth it to even have another go at it, or whether maybe she's just unsafe as a person for me at this point, and um
Well,
then maybe.
you could do it, do one of these if you want to. If I had it, like, are you available for a follow-up? Because I would have done some things differently if I had it to do over. So you invite her into that conversation, and then you've already done some pre-reflection on what you would do that was more aware of the whole situation. Okay, now I know. How would I know then that that was going to trigger her? But now I know that she's touchy or triggerable about something that has to do with me telling her she's done something wrong. That's
Mhm.
a good theory, at least. I mean, she basically is saying it's not my fault, that
Yeah.
that's you're responsible for your own feelings. So you don't even have to know what her core fear is, but it's in that territory. So what can I do to try to not push that button? But you got to speak your truth, you know?
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if you're
Yes.
coming up with any ideas right now about how to do a do-over, are you?
I don't. I think I did a actually like not so bad job, but at the same time, I also noticed this pattern within me that, and I told her this, I was like, thank you for, like I noticed this pattern in my life where I'm working with people on projects.
Hmm.
And often when I feel like I'm doing more than other people, I
Mhm.
get really frustrated and irritated.
Mhm.
Um, and it just comes up across all my relationships. And I don't really know like what that core need is. Is it to feel appreciated and or like is it for me to articulate like, hey, I need some help here. Like my needs matter.
Yeah.
And I am thankful for the opportunity that she gave me to like see that, not just in my
Mhm.
working relationships, but also in my friendships. Like, it comes up quite a bit. But at the same
Got an
time, I don't
idea
know if I
for
would
you.
do, I
Yeah.
don't know what I would do differently,
Yeah.
other
I don't
than
see anything.
expressing like,
Yeah. I don't see.
hey, this is how I'm feeling. And she wasn't really able to hold that space for me. She felt very much blamed.
Yeah. Well, now you've shared that it's kind of a theme in your life to be the one who does a little more of the work, that
Yeah.
thing. Um, Now there's two ways to go with this. You can do an inner inquiry on, well, what's that feel like? Do I have some that's not fair issue in my life, or I'm not getting, what I need or deserve issue, some kind of core story of my life kind of theme.
Hmm.
But one practical thing you can do is with the friends that you feel safe with, mention that you've discovered this kind of pattern in a lot of your working relationships and even in friendships where it feels to you like you're doing more of the work. Have you, my friend, got any feedback from me? Can you tell me anything that you've seen about me that would that would have me be in this like one down position so much? Or maybe it's maybe it's a one up position. So anyway, invite other people's opinions about yourself. I think you can do that. Is that correct? Are you interested in doing that?
Yeah, I would love to get more feedback.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I know you, so I have you as one of the people
Speaking.
I know who's the most committed to her own learning and growth.
Yes.
I truly appreciate that about you. So yeah, try asking for feedback and anybody else
Ah,
too. If you're going, why does this always happen to me? It doesn't mean that they're going to give you the greatest information or advice, but it builds a support network that is good to have. And you might get some reflections that surprise you.
do we have a
Mm.
Well, share the
Yeah.
office with two other people. Neither of these
Carol,
people
let
are
me,
using it,
Carol's, we gotta mute
extensively.
her. There we go. Carol thought she was muted. Okay, we're gonna wrap up now.
okay.
Um, put something in the chat if you didn't get a chance to speak it, and I'll get to see it. Not everybody else will get to see it. And like I said, if you got unfinished business, because I know there always is a little bit, email me if you have thoughts and questions. Hey, it's great to
Uh,
be with you all, and thank you so much for coming, and especially to you guys who spoke and revealed yourself. I think we all benefited from that. And
Thank you so much, Susan.
yeah,
Mm.
and I won't be doing these until September again, first Tuesday of the month, but I've been doing them for years, so that pattern seems pretty consistent for me. And thanks for the
Mm.
hearts, Marie, and it was lovely to meet you. Yeah. Okay. Bye for now.
Mm.